could grab your hymnals. We're having trouble with the slides, okay? Yeah, grab a hymnal. They're usually under, yes.
Okay. Wonderful. We're going to go old school with hymnals. I don't know if you know that saying. I'm learning how to do things new school, but I never graduated from old school. And we have a traditional African-American spiritual that will become the hymn of month. It's number 350, The Ceaseless Flow of Endless Time. So if you can rise as willing in mind, body, or spirit, we will sing this once. And here the words are somewhat updated by a more contemporary writer, and later in the service we'll be singing more of the original words with the same melody. So here we go, The Ceaseless Flow of Endless Time. And Christine will play it for us once.
You may be seated. Good morning. Good morning. And happy 2026. If you're still writing checks, it's going to be a rough week. Those of you the young people are like, what are checks? So glad that you're with us. I'm Reverend Rob Blair. My pronouns are he, him, and we are so glad that you are here at Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Fullerton, California, an inclusive community dedicated to building a new world. Whoever you are, however you identify, whoever you love, you are welcome here. UUCF acknowledges that this land is situated in the original ancestral homelands of the Ahachiman, the Kizh, and the Tongva peoples. May we have the humility and the courage to help restore what has been broken and the wisdom to live into a new solidarity with indigenous communities and the earth. Coming up in a few minutes, why resolutions may not be the right thing to do this year. We're going to talk about that and talk about how to set yourself up for success instead of shame as we go into a new year where a lot has already happened. And we will also get into that in a few minutes as well. A couple of announcements. Actually, we're going to bring up Mary Botts because she's got a couple of really important dates that you'll want to remember. So Mary is out in the hallway. We'll bring her up. We should give her a real big round of applause when she comes in. Ladies and gentlemen, Mary Botts.
slides. Okay.
Yes, no slide.
All right, so now I have to remember what I was going to say. All right, so a couple really exciting things coming up, and I didn't want to wait till next week to let you know, because then it cuts a week out of knowing, right? So we are going to be sending out sometime this week a couple questions for you, and we are going to then have a congregational conversation, similar to what we did when we were looking to hire Rob, and worked really well. And what we'll do is we'll split up into groups, and we'll have a discussion about these questions that are kind of looking at our future and what you foresee as our future. So that's what that's going to be about. And what that's going to do is allow us to have this conversation on the 18th. So Sunday the 18th, be here for that. And then we're going to be having a visioning workshop that's coming up, and that's going to be February 6th, 7th, and 8th. Now, you will be involved definitely on the 7th and the 8th. You might be involved ahead of that time if you're on a committee that our consultant wants to talk to the head of that committee. So as soon as I have all the details of that, I will send it out to you. But it's a very exciting, it's a visioning workshop. It's going to help us kind of rebase ourselves and re-look at what our values are, what we are trying to accomplish as a congregation. Where do we want to be in 5 years? Whatever those kind of thoughts are for you. So this is a very important thing and a very exciting thing. So look forward to it.
Thank you, Mary. Yes, February 6th, 7th, and 8th. Those are Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So try and make yourself available on that Saturday as we go into an exciting year. And obviously, we want to hear from you about how we can continue on the success and grow and learn. So we need your voices on how we are going to envision the next years ahead. There was going to be an undecorating party. You've heard of unbirthdays. Well, this is the undecorating party. Since it is raining, they are going to cancel today. And when is the undecorating party? Is it next Saturday, Mary?
Yes.
Next Saturday. Do you know what time? What time, Mary?
She did not say.
Okay, so we'll put that out in an email to let you know about the undecorating party and the time. It's just too slick, and we don't want anybody to get hurt. Coming up, Our Whole Lives, the OWL program. There is a parent information meeting on Zoom this Wednesday, January 7th at 7 o'clock. Megan Watson and Joy will be there along with myself and someone that I went to seminary with at UCC, Brea, which is Live Oaks UCC Church. We are working with them with the OWL program, so it's kind of a reunion and really excited for me to be working with Reverend Sarah when we spent so much time together at CST together. So please join us if you have any questions and you have a teen. I was going to say an iterator, but we have teens. This is the 7th through 9th grade part of the OWL program. And we will see you there. If you have any questions about that, you can ask Megan or Joy. Our caring listener this week is Debbie Langenbacher. Here she is. You can speak with Debbie after the service if you have any concerns or would simply like someone to talk to, someone to listen. That's always important that we are heard, especially during these difficult times. We'll be sharing joys and sorrows a bit later in the service, so if you're in the sanctuary and you'd like to share, the slips are in the back. They are pink. I know we've got some visitors today and some people who are returning after being away for a little while, so we want to celebrate them. All you visitors who are here or who are online, we are so glad that you are here. Please try and fill them out as soon as possible. especially if you're on Zoom or Facebook Live, so that we can include you. Now, we'll take a couple of minutes to say hello to our neighbors.
Please be seated. Good morning. I'm Megan Smock, and I will be your worship associate today. It's January. That means a new hymn of the month. Our hymn this month is Thank you, Christine. It's January, which means a new hymn of the month. This month, it's number 148, Let Freedom Span Both East and West. The tune for this is called McKee and was originally an Irish tune brought to the United States and adapted by African-American slaves for several spirituals. This reminds us of the convergence and musical influence of the West Africans with the Irish and Scottish in Appalachia. Written by Reverend Jacob Trapp, a UU minister, 1899 to 1992, who was a prolific writer and poet. It was adapted and harmonized by Harry T. Burley, an African-American composer from Erie, Pennsylvania, who studied at the National Conservatory of Music in New York City, where he was befriended by Antonin Dvorak, for whom he provided, supposedly, several African-American musical themes which became part of the New World Symphony. Now, please join me in singing our hymn of the month.
Please rise in mind, body, or spirit.
We'll be doing verses 1, 2, and 4. freedom span both east and west, and love both south and north, in universal fellowship throughout the whole wide earth. In beauty, wonder everywhere, let us communion find. Compassion be the golden cord, close binding humankind. Then east and west will meet and share, and south shall build with love. One human commonwealth of good throughout the whole wide earth.
Thank you for adapting this morning as we have trouble with our slides. Keep your hymnal handy as we will sing a couple more hymns from the same hymnal. Our chalice lighting reading for today is Into Many Coming Years by Mary Sheldon. We cannot know what all the year may bring, and would heed the prophecy if we could. Bright flame awake, sending forth your shining light beyond this year into the many coming. Show us the ways of love and help, care and justice, mercy and equity. Illuminate unto the generations. Show to the world a beacon of safe harbor. Help us to find the kindred warmth within us and among us to help make it so. Please join me in saying the unison affirmation. We'll test our memories this morning. This flame burns the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. Love is the doctrine we share. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, thus do we covenant with one another.
It is our custom to provide donations of non-perishable food and personal care items for Pathways of Hope, a local food bank. Please check the dates on your items as we're unable to donate any with expired dates. As the children come forward for Time for All Ages, they're asked to collect the donations, which should be placed at the ends of the rows. And now the children are invited to come forward for Time for All Ages.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
Thank you, Miss Christina. Good morning. My name is Megan Watson. I am the teen coordinator here at UUCF. This is Joy Ellis, our elementary teacher. And before we get started with our Time for All Ages, I do want to reiterate that I am so excited that we are offering OWL again here at UUCF. It is a subject that is near and dear to my heart. I am a teacher and a former middle school science teacher, so this subject is very important, as I have seen firsthand. So if you know anyone in your life who would be interested in having kiddos in their lives be part of our OWL program, 7th through 9th grade, please, please, please let them know about our parent parent info session that's this Wednesday. If you have any questions about it, talk to me. And also, going forward, we're gonna, oh, hey, look at the slides. If you have it within you to volunteer with our kiddos, we're especially gonna need some teen volunteers because I'm gonna be leading the OWL course. So from February through April, we're gonna need some more help with our RE classes. So if you'd like to volunteer with the kids, we have like pre-planned curriculum. You don't have to come up with anything. You are just gonna hit the ground running. Like, please talk to Joy or I if you would like to do that. Okay, 2026, new year, resolutions. Reverend Rob is gonna talk a lot about why we shouldn't make resolutions today, but I'm here to tell you about why resolutions exist in the first place. Do you guys know why we make resolutions? No. Good answer. So it seems weird to me that there's so many different starting points, right? We could start making resolutions at the beginning of the month, the beginning of the week, the beginning of the day, solstice, equinox, birthdays, all of these different things. So where did this idea that we have to make resolutions at the start of the new year come from? And in looking into it, we can go all the way back to 2000 BC. Joy didn't read this beforehand. 2000 BC, the Babylonians used to celebrate the new year. They celebrated it during the springtime. And part of their celebration was to make resolutions to give back things they had borrowed throughout the course of the year beforehand. So it's kind of like a resolution, like, I'm gonna give you back your plow or whatever I borrowed for the year. There's a clear connection if we go back to the Romans, because they actually celebrated January, because January comes from Janus, which is one of the Roman gods. And so they had a tradition of making gifts and promises, which I think gets a little closer to our idea of resolutions, because a resolution is a promise you make to someone else or you make to yourself. I thought in finding out about this, there was a medieval tradition where knights would make an end of the year vow of the peacock, where they would place their hand on an actual living peacock and vow to remain chivalrous for the next year. Interesting. But what's crazy to me is that this idea of New Year's and New Year's resolutions is really, really new in America. In the United States, we didn't really even consider the New Year to start on January 1st until 1752, because before that, we were still starting it on the the Julian calendar as opposed to the Gregorian calendar. So we started in March. March 25th used to be the New Year, which is such a random day. Can you imagine if you were like in the middle of school on March 25th and they're like, Happy New Year? Okay. New Year's was basically a non-thing for a lot of our history. Talk of resolutions in print didn't really begin until the early 20th century. At first, resolutions were religious in nature, oftentimes being learning Bible verses or being related to Bible verses. But they slowly gave way to more secular promises. During World War I, resolutions were about helping the war effort and rationing supplies. Nowadays, most resolutions are about self-improvement, but something has been lost in this shift in how the first of the year used to be about connection and community. Before resolutions, the first of the year was a day to visit others, check in and spend time with those you loved. In New York, they would host open houses on the first so that there was a revolving door of guests that could come and visit. In fact, the White House used to have a New Year's Day where the White House was open. They would have lines of people to go in and like meet all the staff and shake the president's hand. They stopped doing that during the Depression. 1932 was the last time they did that. So the beginning of the year was a time not only to set intentions, but to begin together. So I know that we're gonna talk about not putting pressure on ourselves to start resolutions, but I hope that maybe we will take this idea of starting the year together and on a new path together into 2026, because I think that's a resolution that's easy to keep and kind of nice. All right, that's the history of resolutions. Let's go talk about it more in our classes. Let's go.
Go with wisdom, go with wonder, go to create a brand new day. Learn to see the light within you as we send you on your way. Go with wisdom, go with wonder, go to meet a brand new day. Learn to see the light within you as we send you on your way.
It is now time for our joys, our concerns, our sorrows. We can invite Megan to come back up. We begin by lighting a candle for all our concerns for the larger world. Our wish for peace and justice, our hopes for our children who will be inheriting this complicated world. May this candle represent all the wishes and calls to action that are more than we can articulate in this space. And we start out with concern and sorrow as a pastoral concern for the Western Hemisphere, a sorrow for the people of Venezuela, for those in the Caribbean who can't get home if they were flying in for the holidays. We hold in our hearts the people of Venezuela, parents, children, elders, neighbors whose dreams have long been shaped by struggle and resilience. In the early hours of January 3rd, airstrikes and military options swept across the cities, bringing explosions and killing 40 people, including civilians. Civilians were caught in the chaos of a foreign strike, their homes and lives shaken by the thunder of war. We mourn the pain of those who have lost loved ones and the trauma etched in the faces of those left behind. We sorrow for families torn between hope and despair, for futures interrupted before they've unfolded, and for the uncertainty that now grips a nation accustomed to uncertainty. We lament, too, the loss of sovereignty, the deep wound felt when the land you call home is subjected to the power of another. We grieve the heavy cost of violence visited from outside and the fear that justice and peace might be overshadowed by the politics of power. May those who suffer feel the comfort of community and human solidarity. May the world not turn away from their cries, and may paths toward peace, self-determination, and the healing wounds be opened with justice, compassion, and respect for every human life. And that needs an amen. A concern actually from Sean Thomas, who has friends and family in the Caribbean and who could not make it to the United States. A joy and a concern from Shelley. Prayers for healing for my son who is getting out of the hospital after being in for a month. Shelley, we send light and love to you and your son. Natalie Cruz has an update for us. Remember, she asked for good vibes as she was wondering if her contract was going to be extended at the school that she works for. Well, good news, got the contract extended, and tomorrow she will start a new journey teaching students with moderate to severe disabilities. Thank you for your heart for service, Natalie. And Gil and Sarah Santiago can't be here today because Liam, their son, is sick, but they write in the comments section of Facebook, "Hi, please see us sign the book next week and have Liam confirmed or actually brought into the congregation with what we do in the Unitarian Universalist congregations. Sorry, we have been absent. Liam has been sick since the 24th. So they would like for you to be here next week to witness them welcoming and us with a circle of love, welcoming Liam and also Gil and Sarah as they sign the book. We light one more candle for all the joys, concerns, and sorrows that remain unexpressed but are still held close to our hearts. And now, please join in saying the affirmation. We can bring that up on the screen. Okay, we'll do it by memory again. We join you in celebrating your joys. May you feel our love and compassion for your sorrows and concerns, for all that is spoken and unspoken. May the caring of our beloved community sustain us all.
For our next hymn, we'll be singing hymn number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning, and we'll be singing verses 1, 3, and 4. You may rise in mind, body, or spirit and join us in singing.
Let us move now into the spirit of meditation, reflection, and prayer. You may close your eyes, take a deep breath, whatever helps you find your center. Day by day, month by month, year by year, we are confronted with all that we do not know, that we do not understand, that we do not grasp. Sometimes we're humbled by this knowledge and say, it's too wonderful to me to comprehend, but I know this universe is more grand and more beautiful than I ever could have imagined. And I give thanks for the blessing of being here and seeing, hearing, experiencing, and sensing all that is so wonderful around and in me. Sometimes we're saddened by this knowledge and say, oh, merciful Spirit, we need to have the burden of hurt and suffering removed from us. Grant us the courage, the wisdom, and the fortitude to bear the pain of living. Send us those who will carry our burdens for a short while, and send us those who will comfort us with their healing words and thoughts. Sometimes we're angered by this knowledge and say, in the name of justice and compassion, if it be in our power, give us the strength and ability to right the wrongs, for we do not, nor does any person in the world deserve this. Sometimes we're made joyous by this knowledge and we say, Spirit of life who blesses our world, we rejoice and cheer for our glorious life. Sometimes we're made curious by this knowledge and say, holy and inexplicable is this life. I have no idea what happened or how it happened, but somehow, some way, something changed, and I am free to explore new ways of being. Please always let me continue to search for the unknown in myself and others. Let us now share a moment of silence. I am one of those people who love to make New Year's resolutions. Why not create a vital, remodeled persona, new and improved? Just write down all the things you want to accomplish, all the projects you want to complete, all the character improvements you want to make, and all the skills you want to master. At the start of a new year, it seems reasonable that resolutions would carry extra momentum. January feels like an especially auspicious time to become the person I've always wanted to be. If I write it down, surely I'll be able to keep my desk neat, my home well organized, and no thank you note will go unwritten. Surely this is the year that the houseplants and garden will not be neglected. I'll find more time to play with my kids, my friends, and my husband. I'll read more books and watch less television. I'll exercise more and eat fewer desserts. The fantasy life contained in your average New Year's resolution is rich and sweet. It starts with the premise that thinking of an ideal self will increase the likelihood that you'll be transformed. Resolutions are also aesthetically satisfying. They give the appearance of order and control. They allow you to picture yourself without flaws, limitations, or setbacks. How could the new improved model ever feel the kind of fear, inadequacy, and need that the old self has structured its life upon? But my favorite delusion embedded in a list of resolutions is the illogical but stubborn belief that only more effort is required for a better life. No real change of heart is needed. Just do what has never worked before, only do it more. Try harder, work harder. This is music to the ears of all of us who try to defy gravity by pulling ourselves up by the bootstraps. Some of us believe that we can earn love and approval. We think that race belongs to the swift. No matter what Jesus said, we secretly are convinced that the first will be first and the last will be last. The word resolution in my thesaurus reveals the shadow side of our best laid plans. To be resolved includes being relentless, self-willed, and obstinate. To be resolved means to set one's jaw, to nail one's colors to the mast, to burn one's bridges, to stop at nothing. It also means to be rigid, inflexible, hell-bent, and like a bulldog, to take the law into one's own hands. What I admire about religion is its stubborn refusal to accommodate these foolish illusions. Religion, while honoring human effort and inviting our firm resolve to be the best human beings we're capable of being, insists that we need to experience what it means to be loved and to receive grace. What we require will come to us effortlessly. Mechtilde of Magdeburg's words need to go right beside my New Year's resolutions. Effortlessly, love flows from God to humanity. As the source strikes the note, humanity sings. The Holy Spirit is our harpist, and all the strings which are touched in love must sound.
Isn't it wonderful that we belong to a faith tradition that allows for questions, that allows for differences in thoughts, that includes Christians, as that reading talked about, Jews, Buddhists, Taoists, atheists, agnostics, seekers, all in the message of love. And for that, in my 11 months being here, I am very grateful for. A while back, I made what I believe was the greatest New Year's resolution of all time. I resolved not to make resolutions. A bold choice, a spiritual rebellion, a minister's version of living dangerously. I even told friends, this is it. No more January pressure. No more self-improvement Olympics. My resolution is to have no resolutions. Very enlightened. Very countercultural. Very smug. Then January 1st arrived. Someone asked me casually, so Rev, got any resolutions? I said, well, I'm not trying to make any. Trying not to. I realized I'd just made a resolution about not making resolutions. So then I thought, okay, wait, if I keep the resolution not to make resolutions, I technically succeeded in a resolution, but that means I made a resolution in the first place, which breaks the whole concept of not making resolutions. Yeah. By January 3rd, I had created a spiritual logic pretzel, and that's when it hit me. Even when we're trying not to make them, resolutions still have a way of making us feel like we're failing. I have a friend named Mark who loves New Year's resolutions, and by loves I mean he treats them like a CrossFit workout for the soul. Color-coded planners, multiple apps, a smart watch that vibrates every time he disappoints it. Oh, some of you have those. One New Year's Eve, I watched him build the list. Exercise more, meditate daily, eat better, be more patient, be less impatient about being more patient, which honestly feels hostile. He looked at me and said, this is the year I finally get my life together. And by January 14th, Mark was spiritually exhausted. Missed gym days, broken meditation streak, and apparently one cookie was enough to collapse the entire moral structure of his life. When I checked in, he didn't say, I'm adjusting. He didn't say, I'm learning. He said, I blew it. A week later, I went back to his place. The planner was gone. The apps all deleted. The smartwatch had been demoted. Survived a hammer hit. That's an expensive break. In his place on the refrigerator was a single yellow sticky note. It said, today. I asked him what happened. He said, I realized I don't need a new year. I just need to not treat myself like a failed project. Now, every morning, he gets up and asks one question. What would be kind today? Some days that means a walk. Some days that means a nap. Kind to ourselves. Some days that means not trying to become a completely different person before breakfast. He didn't become perfect. He became present. And that little sticky note has done more spiritual work than all the resolutions he ever made. Turns out, the most radical spiritual practice wasn't changing his life. It was stopping the self-loathing long enough to live it. As Brené Brown says, shame is the most deadly emotion. And so this is my argument about resolutions. Now, this is a thesis. You may disagree, and we can talk about that afterwards. But I think there's a better way to do goals, if you will. Because here are the numbers. Every year, millions of people create resolutions with the sincerest intentions. I have. I don't know if you have. And every year, millions discover that resolutions are, well, impressive failures. I've done that too. I don't know if you have. A landmark study from the University of Scranton found that only about 9% of people actually hold to their resolutions all year. That's 91% that don't. 43% quit by February. 80% are done by mid-March. So much so that psychologists call it Quitter's Day. Usually the second Friday in January. Fitness centers nationwide say attendance drops sharply by February 9th, almost like clockwork. The numbers aren't just bad, they are comically bad. But here's why. We don't change just because the calendars change. We change because something inside us shifts. The resolutions ask us to transform instantly. And no wonder we fail. Become a new person tomorrow. We're trying to run a marathon while still tying our shoes from the last year. And there's an even deeper issue. Most resolutions are built on a foundation of quiet self-rejection and shame. Lose weight, be more productive. Don't do that. Be less you and more like someone else. Resolutions often begin with, "You're not enough yet, fix yourself." But shame has never been a particularly effective spiritual teacher. Far from it. When we were talking about how we look, and Megan was reading, I was thinking about the idea of how we exhibit perfection online, right? We see the highlights of the year on Instagram and Facebook, all smiles. We don't put on there, "I'm struggling. I'm grieving. I'm scared." Instead, we open it up and many times say, "I don't have that." When the truth is, all of us have it. That's why this community is so important. These next 3 years are going to be really, really difficult. And we see that now, just 5 days in. We're going to need each other now more than ever to support one another and to do good work and the work of love in Fullerton and beyond. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, the first principle says we affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Not every person who manages to stick to a gym routine for 12 weeks. The world says, and capitalism says, improve yourself. You are a human doing and not a human being. Our faith says, relax. Accept yourself. You're beautiful. You are loved. Love yourself. Grow gently. Resolutions are focused entirely on the future, a place that does not yet exist, and a place of uncertainties. I'll be a better person later. I'll be kinder in March. I'll be healthier next year. The spiritual masters across traditions tell an entirely different story. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from clinging and attachment to what is unreal, what is not in the present. Jesus taught, don't be anxious about tomorrow, live for today. Mary Oliver asked the sacred question, what will you do with your one wild and precious life? Not your future life, your life in the now, or as Eckhart Tolle says, the power of now. Transformation doesn't happen in some imagined future. It happens in the ordinary, unglamorous, messy, imperfect, holy right now. Presence, not perfection, is where love becomes real. Presence is where courage lives. Presence is where we notice the needs of the world. Presence is where we find our breath, our clarity, and our compassion. The person you hope to become can only be built one present moment at a time. And this brings us to the truth bigger than personal self-care. This moment in history, politically, economically, environmentally, needs us alert and awake, paying attention to the now and not the future. Not perfect, not reinvented, not January optimized, just present. We are living in a time of authoritarian rhetoric, growing threats to democracy, hate against the LGBTQ community, transphobia, economic instability, racism, ageism, climate fear, social division. How can you take on 365 days of that the first day of the year? This is not the era for deferring your moral or civic responsibility until you fix yourself first. The world does not need our future perfected selves. The world needs us now. Present enough to notice the injustice. Present enough to hear someone's pain. Present enough to stand up when dignity is threatened. Present enough to show up over and over, even we are tired. When we're tired, we're scared, and we're uncertain. Here's the truth. You cannot defend democracy from the future. You cannot comfort a grieving friend from the future. You can't feed the hungry, house the unhoused, or speak truth to power from the future. The only time we make a difference is in the present moment. And we have the tools. We have the principles. We have the values. We have religious philosophers and spiritual giants to guide the way. Not just one way, but many different ways based on love, which makes presence, not resolutions, the spiritual practice our times demand. Just ask Patrick, our meditation connoisseur who does this work every single day and will be sharing more of his gifts in the months to come. Presence is a practice. It's not something that you just get and perfect it. It's something that evolves and grows, and we are so fortunate to have him in helping us do that, aside from our worship services, but then after. So, if resolutions don't work, what does? Psychologically, we talk about psychology, neuroscience, and spiritual wisdom, and they all agree. But our humanness says this is weird. Gentle practices beat grand promises. So, what truly supports transformation? Have you ever heard of micro habits? Like 30 seconds of deep breathing, one act of kindness, one political action per week, small steps. Number 2, accountability through community. Not fix yourself, but let's walk together. 3, self-compassion. People who forgive themselves for their mistakes are far more likely to continue their goals. And then we talk about our values. We put them into values-driven living. So instead of, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, it's, you know what, I want to care for this body that carries me. Start anywhere and start now. Tuesday at 3 p.m. works just as well as last week. In Unitarian Universalism, our faith is not built on creeds, definitely not on perfectionism. Look who your minister is. It's built on covenants, gentle spiritual promises we renew again and again. So this year, I want to offer a spiritual practice that's more durable, more compassionate, shameless, and more faithful than any resolution. If you go out of here knowing, be present, we succeeded. Just that. Return to yourself, return to your breath, return to the compassion that is in your heart, return to community, return to justice, return to hope. Not this Hallmark hope, but the sturdy kind, the rolling up our sleeves kind. The world doesn't need the new you, it needs the real you, and it needs you now. Awake, aware, alive, paying attention. I once heard a yoga teacher say, if you fall out of a pose, congratulations. You just discovered where your growing edge is. That is presence. Not judgment, just awareness. Not perfection, just returning to the truth. Not resolutions, but beginnings. So as we move into a new year that we know is going to be difficult, we're all aware. I think we're all somewhat prepared. Let us not resolve to reinvent ourselves. Let us instead resolve to return to ourselves again and again. Let's resolve, if that's a resolution, to be here, to notice, to care, to act, and to love, to be awake to the sacredness of this present moment. Because This world cannot wait for our future perfection. It needs our present love desperately. May it be so.
At UUCF, we embrace the possibility of a world filled with peace, acceptance, justice, love, and joy. By our financial commitment, we help this congregation make these possibilities real in a challenging world. Baskets are being brought around to the sanctuary, and there are payment options on the screens. Whatever you are able to give is received with gratitude, and we thank you for your commitment and generosity.
Thank you, Christine. That's a nice palate cleanser, right? So my invitation for you, Marianne Williamson calls conviction the source multiplier. So when we talk about, there's hate with conviction, you usually hear that with hate, right? What about love with conviction? A love multiplier. So my invitation for you this morning or this afternoon, go with conviction, go with tenderness, go with holy defiance, go knowing that your presence is a form of resistance. Go now knowing you are loved and beautiful and needed, and that your love is a force the world cannot ignore. Now, we extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts wherever we may go. Amen. Shalom, salam, namaste, and blessed be. By the way, the board will be having their board meeting at 1 o'clock in the choir room, and as always, you are welcome to attend. They always like to give that invitation to you if you would like to come.
For our closing hymn, we'll be singing Turn, Turn, Turn. You may rise in mind, body, or spirit and join us in singing.
Under heaven.
a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven.
Please join us for our social hour. Thank you.